if you're waking up 2, 3, maybe even 4 times a night just to go to the bathroom, stop what you're doing. Don't scroll past this. Don't skip ahead, because what I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes could be the most important thing you hear all year. My name is Dr. Eleanor Whitaker. I've spent over 2 decades working with women going through some of the most confusing, frustrating, and often deeply isolating changes of their lives. And in all that time, one symptom keeps coming up, one that women laugh off, minimize, or quietly suffer through alone. The constant, urgent, almost uncontrollable need to urinate, especially at night. You go to bed, hoping for rest, and instead, you're up again. And again, you lie back down, exhausted, and just as sleep finally starts to pull you under, you feel it. That pressure, that urgency, that maddening signal from your bladder that simply will not wait. I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly. Have you started planning your day around bathrooms? Have you stopped drinking water after a certain hour, hoping it will help? Have you skipped a workout, a walk, a social event because you were afraid? If any of that sounds familiar, I need you to stay with me, because what's happening to you is not your fault, and it is not simply getting older. There is a specific, measurable, biological reason why your bladder has started behaving this way, and almost no one is talking about it. Not your gynecologist, not your general practitioner, not the magazines. Because the real cause isn't in your bladder at all. It's in your hormones. Here's what's actually happening inside your body right now, starting around your mid-30s and accelerating significantly in your 40s and 50s. Your estrogen levels begin to drop. You've probably heard about estrogen in the context of hot flashes or mood swings or irregular periods. But what most women are never told is what estrogen actually does for the tissue in and around the bladder and urethra. Estrogen keeps that tissue thick, elastic, and responsive. It helps the muscles of your pelvic floor stay strong and coordinated. It supports the nerve signals that tell your bladder when it's truly full and when it isn't. When estrogen starts to fall, all of that begins to unravel. The tissue thins, the muscles weaken, the nerves misfire, and suddenly your bladder starts sending urgent, panicked signals, even when it's barely half full. This is called urge incontinence, and millions of women are living with it right now, in silence, assuming it's just a normal part of aging. But here's what I need you to understand. It is not normal. It is a signal. Your body is trying to tell you something, and if you ignore that signal long enough, the message gets louder. The leaking gets worse. The urgency becomes constant. The interrupted sleep compounds into chronic exhaustion. And then the exhaustion starts affecting everything else. Your mood, your metabolism, your relationships, your sense of self. I've seen women in their late 40s who tell me they feel like prisoners in their own bodies. They don't go on long drives. They sit on the aisle at every event. They've quietly given up things they love because they can't trust themselves anymore. And when they finally come to me, the first thing most of them say is, "I thought this was just what happens when you get older. I didn't know it could be different." That's exactly why I'm making this video, because it can be different, and I want to show you how. Before I walk you through the 3 exercises, I need to pause here for a moment, because if what I've described sounds familiar, the nighttime urgency, the leaking, the pelvic pressure, the exhaustion, I want you to understand that these are not isolated symptoms. They are connected. They are connected to a deeper hormonal shift that is happening throughout your entire body. And that shift doesn't stop at your bladder. The same estrogen decline that's affecting your pelvic floor is also affecting your sleep quality, your ability to maintain a healthy weight, your energy levels, your mood stability, and your skin. Women often come to me focused on one symptom, the bladder, and leave understanding that what they're experiencing is a full-body hormonal imbalance that's been quietly building for years. This is the part that most doctors don't take the time to explain. They'll give you a prescription or tell you to do Kegel exercises or suggest you simply cut back on fluids. And those things might offer a little temporary relief, but they don't address what's actually driving the problem. Right now, thousands of women are discovering a different approach, a natural way to support the body's hormonal environment, not to replace what's been lost, but to give the body what it needs to find its own balance again. I'll come back to that in just a moment because I want you to see the link in the description below. What's there has already helped an enormous number of women feel more like themselves again, more in control, more rested, more at ease in their own bodies. Take a look when you can. The link is right below this video and also in the first comment. But first, let's talk about those 3 exercises. The reason these exercises work is because they target the pelvic floor in a very specific sequence. Most women have heard of Kegel exercises, but standard Kegels done incorrectly or in isolation can actually make urgency worse in some cases because they only train one part of the pelvic system without addressing the coordination between the bladder, the diaphragm, and the deep core muscles. What I'm going to show you is different. These 3 movements work together to retrain the neurological connection between your brain and your bladder. They calm the overactive signaling that's causing the urgency, and they strengthen the muscle fibers that have weakened due to the hormonal changes we discussed. Done consistently, especially in the evening before bed, they can significantly reduce nighttime trips to the bathroom within weeks. The first exercise is called the pelvic clock release. Lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor, hip-width apart. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, letting your belly rise fully, not your chest. As you exhale, imagine your pelvic floor gently softening and releasing downward, like the floor of a bowl dropping slightly. Do not squeeze. Do not tighten. Just release. This is counterintuitive for many women because we've been told our whole lives to hold everything in. But a pelvic floor that cannot fully relax is a pelvic floor that cannot fully coordinate. This release phase is essential. Hold the release for 3 counts. Then let your body return to neutral. Repeat this 10 times, slowly, with full breath. The second exercise is the diaphragmatic bladder bridge. Stay on your back. After completing your pelvic clock releases, bring your feet a little closer to your hips. Inhale deeply. As you exhale, gently lift your hips off the floor into a bridge position while simultaneously doing a slow, deliberate pelvic floor contraction, pulling up and in as if you're trying to stop the flow of urine. Hold the contraction for 5 counts at the top of the bridge. Then slowly lower your hips back down and fully release the pelvic floor on your next inhale. The coordination between the lift, the contraction, and the breath is what trains the neuromuscular response. This is what distinguishes this approach from standard Kegels. Repeat 8 to 10 times. The third exercise is the bladder calm sequence. This one is done seated on the edge of your bed. Sit upright with your feet flat on the floor. Place one hand on your lower abdomen, just above the pubic bone. Breathe in for 4 counts, feeling your hand rise. Breathe out for 6 counts, longer than the inhale, while very gently drawing your lower abdomen inward and upward. At the end of the exhale, pause for 2 counts before inhaling again. This extended exhale activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your nervous system responsible for rest and digestion, and directly calms the bladder muscle known as the detrusor. An overactive detrusor is what causes the sudden urgency and the middle of the night wake-ups. This breathing sequence, done for 5 to 7 minutes before sleep, has a measurable calming effect on bladder activity. It is, in my view, the single most underused tool available to women dealing with urge incontinence. Do these 3 exercises in sequence every night before you get into bed. Give your body at least 3 weeks of consistency before you judge the results. The pelvic floor, like any other muscle system, responds to training over time, not overnight. But the women who stay consistent almost universally report a meaningful reduction in nighttime urgency, fewer waking episodes, and a deeper, more restful sleep. Now, I want to come back to something I mentioned earlier, because the exercises are important. They are genuinely effective. But if your body's hormonal environment isn't supporting the tissue, the muscles, and the nerves involved, the progress will be slower and harder to maintain. This is something I see constantly in clinical practice. A woman does everything right, the exercises, the fluid management, the timing, and she still struggles. And when we look more closely, the common thread is always the same hormonal imbalance we've been talking about. This is why I want to be very direct with you right now. There is a window of time. And I don't say this to frighten you. I say it because it is true. There is a window of time during which the body responds most readily to support. The longer hormonal imbalance goes unaddressed, the more the tissue atrophies, the more the muscle fibers deteriorate, the harder it becomes to rebuild what's been lost. I have worked with women in their early 50s who wish desperately they had paid attention 5 years earlier. Not because it's too late, it is never truly too late, but because the path back is longer and harder and requires so much more from them. You are watching this video right now. That means you are paying attention. That means your window is open. Women who have taken action, who have combined targeted exercises with the right kind of natural hormonal support, report not just improvement in their bladder symptoms, but a broader sense of reclaiming themselves. They sleep through the night. They stop planning their lives around bathrooms. They feel lighter, steadier, more like the person they remember being. And they tell me, without exception, that they wish they had done it sooner. The link below this video, in the description and in the first comment, is where I point the women I care about most when they ask me what they can do beyond the exercises. It is a natural approach. It works with your body's own biology. It does not require a prescription. And the women who use it consistently tell me it changes things in ways they didn't expect. Not just the bladder, but the sleep, the energy, the mood, the feeling of being in control again. I'm not going to tell you it will fix everything overnight. I'm not going to make promises I can't keep. What I will tell you is this: the women who wait, who tell themselves they'll look into it later, who keep assuming this is just aging and there's nothing to be done, those are the women who come back to me 2 years later, and the conversation is harder. The symptoms are deeper. The window has narrowed. You have an opportunity right now, in this moment, to do something your future self will be grateful for. The exercises I've given you tonight are yours. Use them. Start tonight. And when you're ready to go further, when you're ready to give your body the full support it's asking for, the link is waiting for you. It's below this video. It's in the first comment. Thousands of women have already found it. The question is whether you'll be one of them. I'm Dr. Eleanor Whitaker. Take care of yourself. Your body has been asking. It's time to listen.